ברוכים הבאים לפיגסקין כשר, הפודקאסט מספר 1 על פוטבול אמריקאי בישראל. אני יעקב יחד עם השותף שלי, אורן גרינמן, ואנחנו כאן כדי לעדכן אתכם בכל מה שצריך לדעת על עולם הפוטבול. במהלך העונה אנחנו מביאים לכם פרטי הקדמה לכל שבוע עם ניתוחים מעמיקים, בחירות למשחקים וקצת הימורים למי שרוצה להוסיף קצת אקשן לצפייה. בנוסף, לא נשכח את פרקי הפנטסי פוטבול שבהם תקבלו מאיתנו את כל הכלים לנצח את הליגות שלכם. ובמיוחד נקיים פרק לייב בנושא פנטסי פוטבול בכל יום חמישי בערב ביוטיוב. אז אם אתם אוהבים פוטבול, פנטסי והימורים, אתם במקום הנכון. הירשמו לערוץ היוטיוב שלנו, עקבו אחרינו בטוויטר, ואל תשכחו להאזין לנו בספוטיפיי כדי להישאר תמיד מעודכנים ולהצטרף לקהילת הפוטבול הכי חמה בארץ. מה קורה חברים? ברוכים הבאים לעוד פרק של פיגסקין כשר. היום אנחנו עם פרק מאוד מיוחד. האמת שזה הפרק אני חושב הראשון בהיסטוריה של הפודקאסט שאנחנו לא הולכים לדבר על NFL, נדבר טיפה על ה-NFL, אבל אנחנו הולכים לדבר על משהו שאולי קצת יותר קרוב אלינו הביתה, על הישראבול. אז הישראבול חברים זה בעצם הגמר של הליגת פוטבול בישראל. יש לנו פה אורח מאוד מאוד מיוחד שאני מכיר הרבה שנים, שהולך להסביר לנו קצת יותר ממה שאני יודע, והאורח הזה הוא דני איסטמן, עוד שאני אציג אותו. לפני זה אני אשמח מאוד אם אתם חדשים לפודקאסט, לעשות בבקשה לייק, לעקוב בטוויטר, הטוויטר הנדל נמצא פה למעלה, ולהירשם לערוץ גם ביוטיוב, גם בפייסבוק, זה מאוד מאוד עוזר ומקדם. אז היום אנחנו, כמו שאמרתי, עם דני איסטמן, הפרק הולך להיות באנגלית. אני ודני, לא נראה לי בחיים דיברנו בעברית, ולכן זה פשוט יזרום יותר באנגלית. אז דני איסטמן, חברים, אני חושב שאין מישהו אחד ששיחק פוטבול בישראל שלא מכיר את השם הזה, ולא רק שלא מכיר את השם הזה, נראה לי אם תשאלו כל מי שאי פעם שיחק פוטבול פה בארץ, מי השחקן הכי טוב בהיסטוריה של המשחק פה בישראל, אני חושב שכולם יגידו את אותו דבר, וזה דני איסטמן. אז דני איסטמן הוא אלוף ישראל בפוטבול 3 פעמים, יש לו זה בתור מאמן, עוד שנייה נגיע לזה, יש לו 4 MVPs של ה-IFL, של הליגה פה בישראל, בנוסף יש לו MVP אחד באליפות אירופה בפלאג פוטבול, בנוסף לזה יש לו MVP אחד באליפות העולם בפלאג פוטבול, שכשאני אומר את זה זה פשוט מטריף אותי, וכמו שאמרתי, בתור שחקן יש לו גם מדליית כסף באליפות אירופה, ו2 מדליות זהב בתור מאמן של נבחרת ישראל מתחת לגיל 17, חתיכת רזומה יש לבן אדם הזה בתור שחקן וגם בתור מאמן. אז חברים, ברוכים הבאים לדני איסטמן, תודה רבה שאתה פה איתנו. יש לנו, נראה לי על כל הרזומה הזה מגיע לך מחיאות כפיים. אני יודע שאתה עוד לא סיימת לשחק, יש לך עוד הרבה דרך, אז אני המשכתי בעברית למרות שזה היה אמור להיות באנגלית, so I'm going back to English now. Dani Eastman, what's up man, how's it going?
How are you, man? Happy to be here, Ya'akov. Thanks for having me.
All right, you're harder to get than Mark Wilf. I gotta be honest. Mark Wilf is the owner of the Vikings. I shot him a text, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And I shot you a few more texts.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be here. And Mark's he's been all over everything. He's really been supportive, the whole Wilf family. So I'm glad you were able to get him on board as well.
Yeah. We have a theory that every NFL owner who comes onto the podcast, their team goes 14-2. The following year. So
do we have more proof than just Mr. Wilf, or are we starting to create a case?
That's the thing. We're not gonna talk about that part. Yeah.
Talk to some teams that need it, man. Speak to Cleveland. See.
There's a lot of Jews. Well, yeah, we're gonna help the Jews out first, but maybe Kraft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
So So how's it going? You feeling good? Your body's feeling right? You got 2 more days till the championship?
Yeah, feeling good. I think myself, the whole team, I think everybody's feeling pretty amped up, ready for the big game. In terms of overall team health, I think we're in a great position. Thank God, knock on wood, all that stuff. But yeah, we feel pretty good. We're pretty we're locked in.
All right, awesome. So we'll get into, like I said, we'll get into the IFL later on. But first, I want to I know a bit more about you. We go back to high school. You were a grade above me in the same high school in Jerusalem. But first of all, where did you grow up before you came to Jerusalem? And in general, just how did you get into football, both as a player and also as a fan? And if you are a fan, then who's the team that you're rooting for?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. My dad's been a football fan since forever, so he's actually a Kansas City Chiefs fan. They just had obviously suffered quite the loss.
He's doing all right. He's
doing all right. They've had a few good years, so he's been all right. But so I've been a fan of the NFL since I can remember. Born and raised Baltimore, Maryland, and then moved to Israel when I was around 13. When I was a kid, actually, I played football every Sunday. So we'd watch the first half of the Ravens game, and then we'd go outside. A friend named Rafi Crystalweiss, good shout out to him there. Hope he's listening in. And we'd play in their yard. We'd play just like tackle football, usually 10 guys running around. And I remember we would do that every Sunday consistently. And one of the things when I was 13 that struck me the most about this move to Israel, when my folks started speaking about it, was I went to my pops. I just said, I'm probably never going to play football again. There's no chance there's going to be football in Israel. And he's like, yeah, listen, start shooting hoops. Start trying to get better at the 3-point game and all that stuff. So it's just ironic that I got here, played way more football than I could have ever imagined. But yeah, that was kind of my intro to football since I was a kid. My pops played in high school, and then he coached me since I was 5-6 years old how to play the game. So it's been a part of my life. It's been a part of my life for quite some time.
It's funny because you mentioned basketball. I actually, like, my first memory of you as an athlete is actually basketball. We used to play city in high school, with all the Israelis who know how to foul quite well, and it seemed like you were the one who was always scoring. So really, people who are listening to this, you guys really don't understand what a freak athlete Dani is, both basketball and football. And yeah, I know you're a humble guy. You're not gonna like hearing that, but it's just the truth. And those are just memories that go way back. But okay, so Ravens. I'm a Bengals fan, you know that, yeah. So what do you think? Yeah, what do you? It's actually interesting. It's good. It's cool times because the Ravens and Bengals are really like. I feel like the Ravens and Bengals are the ones. I know the Bengals this year weren't where they should have been, but I do feel like years to come they're going to be the two teams that are going to be battling out year after year for the AFC North. But what do you feel like the Ravens need to do to get over that hump? Like, in off-season pieces or just mentality-wise?
First off, to touch on this Bengal-Raven rivalry that's coming, I agree with you 100%. You get a guy, even though it was a bad season for Cincinnati, you get a guy like Joe Burrow in the room. He's in your building. You always got a chance. In a sport dominated by the quarterback position, you get one of the top 3-5 guys, however you want to market. Bengals are going to be a hell of a team to deal with for many years to come. Steelers hopefully are falling off the twig. I'm sure you're hoping the same thing.
Actually, a report now about Daniel Jones. I would be very intrigued to see that happening.
Saw it as well. That'd be great. Nothing would make me happier. Anyway, no smack on Daniel Jones. He's a great guy. But anyway, on to Baltimore. So, I mean, Kyle Hamilton, I don't know if you saw, he said something. It was a blurb that came out that he had mentioned. I'm going to paraphrase for him. This is nothing verbatim, but he mentioned the answers in the room. And I agree with that. I don't think the Ravens need to go out looking for anything, outside, hey, free agency, they don't need to hit that too hard, trades, anything. I think the answer's in the room. I think sometimes as a Ravens fan, I've felt maybe they don't take a specific game and make the specific scheme for that team. We try to run our stuff all the time, which there's a value to that. I think some of the greatest teams like the Patriots dynasty, they stuck to their stuff. But Belichick on the other side would come out and build and cater game plans for their opponents. It's just something as a Ravens fan, I've noticed some of the top coaches across the league or most winningest coaches will do. They'll cater their game plan for these specific playoff matches. And that's something I'd love to see the Ravens maybe do a little bit more of. But player-wise, talent-wise, everything, Lamar, all that stuff, I believe in all of it. I think the answer's in the room.
Yeah, it's interesting because this beatdown that the Chiefs experienced last week, I actually like this is not backed by any statistics or anything like that. I actually think that it's gonna do worse for the Chiefs than good. This beatdown that they had, and I do think I have just a strong feeling that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or Joe Burrow are going to be the ones playing in the Super Bowl next year. I feel like they're gonna kind of feed off this Eagles victory that the Chiefs had, and kind of get that feeling like, it's possible. We can beat the Chiefs. The Bengals have done it before. Obviously, we see Josh Allen getting stuck there every single year, but I do have this like strong feeling that one of those three are going to be in the big game next year.
Chiefs are such a dynasty. If the thought process is, man, they lost once, maybe they can lose again. It's like that's a hell of a dynasty. You got to give them.
It wasn't just a loss, though. That's the thing. It wasn't just a loss.
No, they got smoked.
It was like it just looked like they did not belong in that game for any part of that game. Yeah,
I think human psychology played a big factor there. You're so dominant for so long, and suddenly you're getting smacked in the mouth. It's there's a shock value that happens, and you go, "Holy hell, could we lose this game?" And people start thinking that on the sideline. It's contagious. So I think that might have played a part as well.
Yep. All right. So let's move on to a bit about yourself, Donnie. So I know that you play. When did you start playing for the flag national team? Or were you the first team?
No, so I was not a part of the first team of flag that I played. There had been a team constructed a few years before my time. It started in seven-man contact. This is a team with Steve Leibowitz was playing. If you know the name,
we had Steve on like a month ago. Yeah.
Oh, amazing! So they played a tournament in Gillette Stadium, if I'm not mistaken, many years back. I think that was the first introduction to men's flag national team. And they,
if we're talking contact, then we're talking about a bunch of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was differently.
There's no contact anymore, right?
There's no contact. We can get into the rules of IFAF. The rules are very strict, very specific at this point, especially now that it's on its way to the Olympics. But no, I joined the team. I joined the team when I was 16. I joined the team. There used to be no rules about being 18 to play on the team. My first tournament was a Big Bowl in Germany, which is a club tournament. It's not a European championship. And then I followed that up with a European championship in France. But the experience has been wild. To see the growth of it, the change. Having been a part of it for so many years and seeing how far the teams come, how far the leagues come, how far the games changed. I mean, we could. I'm
sure. Also, as a coach, you're seeing like the next generation and the difference of talent in the last 10 years.
Oh, absolutely. I think the program that's going on, this feeder system we've got going, we've got U15 program, U17 program, and we've got a lot of Hugim and smaller, clubs that are running flag football now as a feeder system for the men's national team, and it's excellent. I mean, these kids are coming so prepared now. We've had a few kids step off the U17 field right on and make the men's national team the next year. I mean, these are 18-year-old kids joining on. When I joined on, again, like I got to play on the team when I was 16, but the level was so much lower. I mean, guys were great. The talent was great. Just the league was lower. We had no experience. There was me and two other guys trying out. It wasn't like how we have now. We have 60, 70 people come out to try out to try to make a 12-man roster. It's a much different story now.
Well, unbelievable. Yeah, I'm coaching right now in Ranana, and I see with my own eyes like the level of talent, even of the 7th to 8th graders. I'm coaching the high school, but the 7th, 8th graders, they got like some ballers. I'm like, man, these guys are. I wish I played against them when I was in 7th and 8th grade. Yeah.
Tackle league as well, by the way. The IHFL, I mean, it's unbelievable. I played its first year that it was created. So it's a great story if you've got a second. Steve, who was it at that time? It wasn't Steve. I think it was Uriah. I don't want to butcher this. Somebody had asked my dad to come in and see it. Maybe it's Steve. Anyway, going on. He asked him to come in and said, hey, would you be interested in coaching, tackle football? We're talking about starting a high school tackle football team, a league. It'll be 8-on-8, 4, 6 teams. And my dad was thrilled. He was, super excited. He loves football. He loves coaching. He's been a coach his whole life. And he said, yeah, sure. How much do I have to pay? And they were like, "Oh, we'll pay you a salary, like you're a coach." And he was thrilled. He's like, "You kidding me? I get to do this." So I got to check. I obviously right away he came to me and said, "Hey, there's going to be this league." If I obviously jumped at the opportunity, it was a different league back then. I mean, we had one ref in the middle of the field, kind of knew the rules. And now the league's come so far. I mean, now it's 11 on 11. You got 30, 40 players on a roster. These kids all know how to tackle. I remember my first year, I'd line up. I'd see a kid across from me not wearing cleats. He's got sweatpants on. I'm like, all right, it's grown. It's come a long way.
But now I'm actually thinking, I played in the high school league for the Ravens.
Yeah.
And your dad coached. Your dad was our coach. Mm-hmm. Were they called the Ravens because of you?
They were. Me and my pops created the team. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
We talked about it. We were called the Ravens because we love the Ravens. Funny. Ari Levin, who's a close friend of mine, lives in the Daniel. He joined the team with me. He loves the Ravens. Noah Mormon, who I'm sure you remember, linebacker. He joined. So enough guys like the Ravens. That's why we were called the Ravens. Orly Print was the sponsor.
Right. Yep. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Bengals. We're not gonna get a Bengals. There's like 3 Bengals fans in Israel. We're not gonna have a Bengals team. So all right. So what's the upcoming tournament that you're looking forward to as of now in terms of flag?
So we actually have a lot going on in flag right now. Coming up in April has been put together a joint practice and exhibition with USA football. So the U17 national team from the European Championship last year, same team. We're going to fly them in to Minneapolis. Again, thanks to Mr. Wolf. We're going to play over there in that stadium. We're going to play not in their main stadium. We're going to play in their practice facility, but there will be an exhibition match with fans coming.
That's just one game.
That's just one game, and then we're going to have joint practices with them over the weekend, including some fundraisers for the national team program. So that's the first thing coming up. That's in April. In June, we're heading to LA for the men's team to do a joint practice mini tournament. Kind of like a warm-up tournament again with USA football. There'll be a few countries coming to that: Australia, I think Mexico, Canada, a few others. I think it's about 6 countries. So that'll be a warm-up prep tournament in LA for the men's national team. And then after that starts the road to the Olympics, this is where it kind of gets starting to get really serious. We need a place, if I'm not mistaken, top 5 in the European Championship in Paris this year. If we place top 5, that'll put us into the Worlds next year. And from there, it's just, we need to end up being top 6 by 2028 is basically, we don't know the exact navigation yet, but we know we need to be top 6 in the world to qualify for the Olympics in 2028.
When you say top 6, do you mean is there a ranking system or it's top 6 in the World Championships next year?
Top 6 in the ranking system. I'm actually not sure. I don't think anybody's sure yet, including IFF, the organization, on if it's going to be based on accumulated points, previous tournaments, or if it's going to be based on a specific World Games. I don't know yet what they'll decide. My thought is it'll come down to a World Games because that's a lot more exciting and, a lot less area for mistakes in terms of point systems and stuff like that. I believe they'll probably try to keep their hands clean for something this big. We'll see. And then also the kids, the U17 have another European Championship coming up this year in Austria. That'll be also September time.
Right. So I'm sure obviously your mindset is to win gold in all these tournaments so that you don't have to worry about all these different procedures and also that you win gold.
Yeah, not just that. Also, losing is just the worst.
Yeah.
So it's really just about not losing sometimes.
Yeah. I think Mahomes just said that. I think the losses are just this week said the losses are worse than the victories. So
I think that was Jalen. Yeah, I think I saw that.
Was it Jalen? Maybe it was Jalen.
I think it was Jalen. Yeah. He said the winning is great, but the loss is so much. I think a lot of athletes can connect to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you get some wins. It's a great moment. You feel at the top, but you don't sit there all night thinking about what you could have done different. What could have been it's a whole different experience.
Yeah. And interesting. So just a random question. Does the Team USA national team, do they have NFL players on the team?
No, currently no. This is
players that were drafted in the past, not current NFL players.
I remember we had a tournament in Panama many years ago, maybe 5 years ago or so. And they had a player, I think his name is Terrence Fox, who had spent some time in the NFL. I think he was a special teamer. I think he was a special teamer for the Ravens, actually, and maybe a practice squad guy. He was like a fringe, let's call him a fringe NFL player, even though that's an extremely large compliment.
Yeah.
But Terrence Fox. But in general, it's not loaded with ex-NFL guys. It's not the crowd. For the what comes down the line, there's a lot of buzz about it. Could be NFL guys. We'll see.
Right. So they're talking about for the Olympics. They're talking about I don't know like how official it is, but I know Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have both said publicly that they would like to play on the Team USA flag team, which is like, I don't know, if as a player for Team Israel to play against some of these NFL players is probably like a crazy will be a crazy experience. And it would be really, really cool to see like NFL players actually playing, and I'm sure there's some Jewish NFL players that would maybe qualify even for Team Israel.
Yeah, could be. I know we've been doing a lot of reaching out, and if anybody's on this podcast and you're an awesome athlete and you're Jewish thinking about making Aliyah, please come over. We're definitely doing a lot of outreach to the States to try to pull in some more talent. Again, the goal is to bring in anybody who wants to play football, who wants to represent the country, make Aliyah, and come compete at the highest level, represent Israel. So we're definitely reaching out. I'm not positive any of the NFL guys. I think most of the Jewish NFL players are O-linemen, not that they can't step out on the flag field and do some work.
Did you know that AJ Dillon's Jewish?
I did not.
AJ Dillon's Jewish.
I did not. Is it Aaron Yaakov? Is it Aaron Yaakov?
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Aaron Yosef. His mom is white, and she's Jewish. Yeah.
There you go. So AJ, if you're listening, come on over.
Yeah. Yep. That would be dope. Okay, so let's move on to the IFL. So first of all, how many teams are in the IFL right now?
Right now, there's 8 teams in the IFL. It generally fluctuates around that number. Occasionally, a new team will come in. Maybe a team will, join up with another team, not have enough resources for that year. Generally, in the 7, 8, 9 range.
Okay.
This year, we're at 8.
So 4 teams make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4 teams make the playoffs, and you guys are obviously in the Israel. Dani Eastman plays for Ramat Sharon, if I didn't mention that. How many years have you been with Ramat Sharon now for?
Ramat Sharon now 4 years. I've played on 3 IFL teams, and I've been with Ramat Sharon now for 4 years.
And you won. So can you give me the championships you've won? Who have you won with?
Sure. So I started my career 2013. I started playing with the Judean Rebels right from the Ravens. I played 2 years in high school in the Ravens. And then when I was at 18, right when I turned 18, I moved over to play with the Rebels. I played 4 years there. We won 2 championships in that time. This was 8-on-8 and 9-on-9. And still to this day, I think one of the best rosters, I've ever seen in this league. We had some great guys over there, really really like a group of guys who really like to play football. I mean, practices, something I always say about the time at the Rebels, practices were harder than games. I mean, we practiced hard. It was a group of guys really focused on winning.
That's the best. Practice is like,
it was great.
Is the best time to,
It was great. Again, if you prepare, if you iron sharpens iron, that classic, phrase you'll hear all day around athletes, but it's true. I mean, if we went out there, we practiced really hard. You'd come out of practice sore, you'd go to the game, and it would be a breeze sometimes. So we had a great unit there. So we won 2 championships. Then I played 3 years with the Petach. I then moved. I used to live down in the area in the Gush Etzion, and then I moved into the Merkaz. So I moved over teams to the Petach Tikva Troopers. At that time, they were they were one of those teams that was like, thinking about falling out sometimes, having like maybe not so many players. So it felt like a good opportunity to join up with them. My pops as well. He also came over to come coach Petach Tikva. We played there for a few years. We made a few Israel Bowls. We made 2 Israel Bowls. We lost both of them, unfortunately, actually to the Lions, which is who we got coming up. But we had some good years over there. Again, I met a lot of great guys over there who something I'm very appreciative that I got to move around the league a little bit is I got to meet a lot of people who I might not have met, and a lot of built a lot of relationships. I met a lot of guys over there on the Troopers. And then after a few years, it was pretty clear kind of maybe the visions were going different directions, and it was time for me to make a change. So I went over to Ramat Sharon, and it's really been a really great unit. We won 1 championship in my second year with Ramat Sharon. We had an awesome team. I mean, the Beersheva team closed down, and some of their athletes came over to our team, and they were awesome. I mean, they gave us a huge boost all over the both sides of the ball. And now we're on my fourth year now through Mata Sharon, and now we're back. So,
so you're looking for your second championship. Yeah. So you're looking for your second championship with Ramata Sharon. A bit of like a kind of a personal question, but for a person like yourself, you come to a new team, you bring this resume with yourself, MVPs, championships. Do you feel like you need to be a leader when you come to a new team, or just being on the team for a few years? Or do you kind of say like, I'm Dani, which is totally fine, and I'll let someone else do the leading. I'll be me. I'll play my game. I'll do the best I can. Win the MVPs, win the championships, and do my role.
So I think the beauty of football and sports in general, team sports in general, but I'm going to, put the spotlight on football, is first of all you can do is come in and do your role. There's 11 people on the field, and if everybody's not doing their role, you're not doing anything. So you could come in and say, hey, I'm going to get my MVPs. We're going to get our chip. But it's really just, if you have to do your job, again, classic phrase, Bill Belichick, made it famous with do your job. So that's the cool part about football, is no matter who you are, what you think you're doing, go to your team, do your job. If you're asked to block, if you're asked to run, if you're asked to, kick, if you're asked to throw, whatever it'll be. So that's always been my thought process. In terms of leadership, again, I'm just going to try to lead in the way I know how, which is usually just, vocal if and when needed. But more than that, try to show a little bit of an example. That's what my pops always taught me, actions speak louder than the words. Again, not to be too on the cliches, but just try to be somebody who's always showing up to practice, always, attacking every drill, having a good time. I think it's more than being kind of this vocal leader who's, a rah-rah guy. I think it's important to just make connections with people, build relationships with these people. We spend some time together. It's a social outlet for a lot of people. And I think that's been my favorite part about playing, honestly, in the IFL is the relationships I've built. So in that sense, like there's not really this like leadership role I feel I need to fill. I think I come in and just try to be myself, and that's pretty much it. Let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, I feel like as a leader and as a father or as a teammate, I think that in Hebrew it's called shoot. I think for me that's the number one. That's the number one way of leading, is leading by example. That's just for me. But yeah, so you guys are going up against Jerusalem. Okay, a bit of a tough question. Let's see if you can answer this. I'm a big bettor. So if there was a line, on this game, what would the line be?
I'd say give the Lions 10 points.
Give the Lions 10 points. All right. I like that answer. All right.
Give them 10 points.
Don't want to talk any smack.
I'm not going to talk smack. I'm going to say give them 10 points.
Yeah. All right. So all right. So what do you feel like this year? Where's the strongest part of Ramata Sharon's game? Whether it's on offense or defense. I know you play safety, you play defense. Do you still come in for offensive plays here and there?
Occasionally, again, just when called upon. I have a role on offense. Situational.
No injury rule.
No injury rule, exactly. No, we've got a very talented group. I mean, it's hard for me to point to a specific. I'd say our D line maybe is our strength. If I'm going to be specific, we have a really, really powerful D line. I think we can get pressure with 4. Which, if we're going to tie this into winning championship games, I think we saw Philadelphia do that. Which is, if you gain pressure with 4, you can get a lot done in the backfield. If I can keep 7 in the back and run many different kinds of coverages.
A coach's dream is, in any level, college, football, IFL, is to get pressure with 4. I compared it last week to I'm a baseball fan, so in baseball, the coach's dream is to get 8 innings at least out of their starting pitcher. Statistically, it's like an 85-90% chance of winning the game. So same in football. If you're going to get pressure with 4, then you're going to win the game a lot of the time. Yeah.
So I would say, if I had to point to one position group, I'd say our D-line is really special. But across the board, I mean, we don't lack talent. We have a lot of talent. It's about putting all the pieces together, figuring out exactly the right way, and, figuring out how to handle a formidable opponent.
Right.
But that's, if, again, you're asking me to point to one group, I'd say the defensive line.
All right. So what matchups are you most looking forward to in this game?
Well, I play safety, so on a personal level, I love the chess match with the quarterback. Their quarterback right now is Ami Freed, He's a sweetheart. I love the whole Freed family.
Yeah, I got to watch him on Saturday night.
Oh man, they're the best. I mean, Carrie Freed is heavily involved in the men's national team. That's Ami's mom. Sorry, she's heavily involved in the media for the men's national team. Her oldest son, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's the oldest. Noam he's this awesome athlete, great attitude. He's right now serving in the IDF. And then and he played on the men's national team, Noam, and Ami as well. He's made the team in the past, and he's a great kid. Anyway, he's playing QB, so I'm excited for that chess match. Personally, in terms of matchup, I mean, again, football's won in the trenches. So thinking from a defensive standpoint, it's all about, can we get the push on the line, or are they going to get the push on the line? They got a power back, and his name's Fatusi. He's an excellent power back. So if we can handle the line and not, let him get any tread going, then, we should be all right. So that's kind of the big matchups. Offensively, I think it's really just about, again, I hate to be always on the trenches, but that's where football's won and lost. Is if we can protect Avrami, who's, been the top quarterback in this league for many years. If we can protect him, he'll dice him up. So it really comes down to that big on big.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have a question regarding kind of the product on the field. What can the IFL do to kind of take a step forward in terms of maybe talent, or also for the fans to come and watch and kind of enjoy a better product? We always obviously want to look to improve, and I'm sure the IFL does too. So like, just for example, in terms of like special teams, I was at the game Saturday night watching my brother play at the semifinals, and since I left the game, it doesn't really look like the special teams has really improved, to me at least. What can we do to get better kicking, better punting? It's kind of weird to me that we haven't found good punters. We're in Israel, a soccer country. Kickers also, for that matter. Just in general, what can we do to kind of get the talent move forward as a league? Also for the fans, like I said, and just in general, what can the IFL do to kind of take another step forward?
Well, I think so. I'm going to attack this from two different approaches. I think one is as a spectator sport. I think I'm going to take the player talent out for a second, and then that'll be what I touch on afterwards. But I think as a spectator sport, I've said this for a few years now, it needs to be a little bit more of an event. The actual game itself, right? And even if they can only do it in the playoffs, which they do a pretty good job of the Israel making it an event, if you get a chance to come out.
Saturday night was unbelievable. There were probably 300 people there.
Yeah,
which is a great number
in the Rebel Stadium. So that's nice. But making it an event in terms of having, even just small things, having food being sold there, having an announcer talking about the game, having music in the stadiums, having a scoreboard that fans can see. Sorry, excuse me. I think these things are critical. Now, that's, let's call it easily fixed, right? The harder thing to fix, which is what you touched on, which is kind of the level of play. So I see a few reasons why. Again, in general, you have some great athletes and some great plays and some great teams. But in general, what you have is a lot, the way the league's constructed is it's a lot of grown men who have jobs, wives, kids, and families, and responsibilities. And they show up to, if on a good week, they're going to make it to 2 practices in a week for a few hours. So putting all that together with everything else going in their lives, it's tough, I think, to put the product that people want to see all the time on the field. And I think that would be great if they'd find a way, to have a little bit more practice time. If that would be something teams could put together, you're able to do a lot more things. You're able to focus more on, like you pointed out, on special teams, right? There could be great punters in this country, but the amount of time coaches are going to allocate towards special teams with such a limited with such limited blocks of time, it's just not going to be the same, what's needed to make it a successful unit. So I think that's a big factor. I think that's the harder thing to solve, because again, you're not going to pay players enough to make it their salary yet. That's, I don't know if that'll happen in the near future. If it ever happens, fantastic. So it's more about finding ways to work within those timeframes. And I think that's the real challenge. The coaching in this country has taken big steps up. And I think as a part of that, you've seen more complex schemes now in the league, offensively and defensively, and maybe the forgotten stepchild's of special teams has still not been touched on.
No, I remember when I was playing in high school, even in the IFL, I remember the game was much more like run focused, probably because there were just less quarterbacks who could feel confident throwing the ball. And now you see much more, second down passing, third down passing, much less runs. But yeah, just to touch on that first, the entertainment part. So I'm a big Maccabi fan, Maccabi Tel Aviv basketball. I love going to the games. The atmosphere there is insane. I was at the Chiefs Stadium for the AFC Championship game with the Bengals, and I can say that a 10,000 fan stadium in Maccabi Tel Aviv is up there with that same atmosphere. But the one aspect that they're missing is the like entertainment part of things, like in the timeouts, what they do in basketball and football in America. So if the IFL can do that, like bring that kind of aspect to the game, to kind of engage the fans in the breaks, that'll be really cool.
Yeah, and again, I think you need like both parties working on this. And the IFL should do. It would be great if the IFL could make some moves to make things happen. But the clubs themselves, I think, are probably the ones who are going to need to lead the charge on that, right? If you make your stadium an exciting place to be and you pull in some people, that spreads. But it's a challenge. It's not easy to get that going.
Yeah, I gotta say also one more thing. I posted a preview to this episode on our Twitter page, announcing that we'd be doing a preview for the game, and then these two, I got two or one or two comments, something like that, for people saying like, oh, there's a football league in Israel, and we're talking about NFL fans, people that actually follow football on a weekly basis, and they didn't seem like they knew that there was even a team. They asked me, is there a team in Haifa that they can join? And I said, yeah, there's the Haifa Dogs, and I commented with the coach's phone number so they can get in touch with him. But just overall, just kind of felt like I was kind of surprised that there's football fans in Israel that don't even know that there's a league. I mean, okay, it's one thing if Israelis don't know there's a league, but like a football fan that doesn't know there's a league kind of feels like we should be doing a better job reaching these people.
Yeah, so that's been a huge push in the last few years. The social media presence, again, that's kind of where you can make things known and popular. There's a little bit of ear to ear, but it's not that small of a country. Sometimes to get things around needs to be social media. So the social media presence has grown, the marketing has grown. I can tell you for sure. I mean, from my first Israel Bowl I played in, which was my rookie year, where I feel like I don't even know if my mom knew the game was going on. There was so little, advertisement for it. To now, again, you're not going to get billboards out, on the highway on Xvii or anything like that, but you could have. There's a lot more now in social media popping around. If you're even involved in the world at all of football and football in Israel and any of those kind of tags, you'll get hit by something that's saying, that this game's coming up. So it's come a long way, but it's definitely a process of including more people. The question of Yesh Putbol Ba'aretz, this is like a classic thing that people in the football world have said, because we've all heard it so many times. Absolutely. Like, it's a question people say, and you're like, yeah, there is. And then they say rugby, and you say, no, not rugby, man. And there's that, discussion.
ואני אגיד את זה בעברית, אם אתם אוהדי פוטבול וגם לא היה לכם מושג, או אתם כן מעוניינים, כן שמעתם על הליגה ותמיד רציתם להצטרף, אז תשאירו תגובה למטה, ואני אדאג לקשר אתכם עם האנשים הנכונים ב-IFL. באמת שאפשר לשחק בכל הרמות, מגיל יסודי עד שאתם בני 60, ממש ככה. גם בנות, יש ליגות לבנות, אז פשוט תשאירו תגובה ואני אקשר אתכם. Going back to you, Dani, I got two more questions for you. Do you talk trash?
No.
No, zero?
No, zero. My dad taught me from a young age.
Even if someone pushes you?
There's no way.
A little bit?
I'm telling you something. My dad's ingrained this in me. He's ingrained two things in me that are similarly related. So one is the talking trash. So if you're winning, you don't need to talk trash because the scoreboard's doing it for you. And if you're losing, you ain't got nothing to say. So there's no reason to speak. In regards to, and the other thing he's always taught me is if you score a touchdown and you dance, people think it's your first time there and you think you'll never make it back. If you give the ball to the ref and you get back in the huddle, you'll be there all day. So that's kind of the way I've always approached the game.
It's funny because that's actually something I do want to see more in the IFL. The second thing you said, the dancing.
Celebrating, sure. I'm not against it as a fan. It's just not something I'll do.
I think as a team, you could disagree with me, but I think as a team, when you have that like kind of chemistry where you can dance together, like after a touchdown, I think in the NFL, I think that brings out a lot out of it. Like now that they in the last 5 years the defenses do like a whole celebration together, I really respect that. Like I like that.
So I think there's a big difference between being excited, feeding off the energy, running and jumping with your teammates, than celebrating by yourself and doing a dance. I think that's just silly. And then taking time out to choreograph a dance with 8 other grown men, that's also something I probably don't see myself doing. I do see the energy of it. Again, I've coached
of these NFL players, I don't think they're choreographing it. I think it's just like they got it.
Here,
they
man.
got it. Yeah.
If you don't think these 23-year-old kids are not spending time at practice choreographing dances, you're wrong. But no, I've coached high school kids again, and I don't tell a kid not to dance. I don't tell them it's not the right thing to do. I will encourage a player if he asks me, hey, you might want to make a statement and show them you'll be there again. But no, I'm not against it in any fashion. I think it's awesome. It's great team bonding. It's just not something that's within my wheelhouse.
Yeah. All right. So I said I have two more now. Sorry, 2 more questions now.
You're good.
Quick ones. Right. So the first one is what's kind of like, do you have a timeline? Do you know when you're going to retire? I saw a guy on Saturday night. He looked like he was 45 years old. Honestly, to me, it looks like you're doing just fine. But just in general, where do you see yourself in terms of your timeline in terms of as a player?
I don't have a timeline set. I have no date specific, no age specific. I think every year I'll evaluate, kind of 3 things. If it's still something I can do within my schedule, if it's still something I can do and that I still love, do I still have passion for it? And is my body holding up? So if all 3 of those boxes are checked, I'm just going to keep playing.
Yeah.
Whenever those, start to not be possibilities, then I'll probably step away.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw you playing a few weeks ago, and doesn't look to me like you're slowing down. The other questions, obviously you have to answer. Yeah. But it does look like people are catching up, though. That
hope so.
Sure. People are catching up. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. And okay, last question. Prediction. What's your score prediction for Thursday night?
Well, I feel like earlier I gave a +10, so I think I have to run that back. No, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, there's no question. I mean, Lions are an awesome, formidable opponent. They have a lot of championship pedigree. They know how to play. They definitely know how to rise in big moments. They're never out of a game either. It's not like you can stomp them in the first quarter and they're, they'll punch back. I don't have a score prediction for you. Probably not going to just spit a random number out, but I think it'll be a close matchup, no question. I hope it's a defensive match. That's just, how I enjoy football. But I think it's gonna be a good game. Again, it's 2 great teams smashing into each other. I think it'll be good football.
All right. I'm looking forward to watching it. Guys, חברים, אם אתם מעוניינים לצפות בישראבול, אנחנו מדברים פה על יום חמישי בלילה, 7:30 בערב, יום חמישי, עוד יומיים. אני אשאיר קישור למשחק פה למטה, אתם יכולים לצפות במשחק דרך היוטיוב. הקישור יהיה פה בתיאור של הסרטון. Dani, thank you so much for being out here. For coming out, for giving us your time. Want to wish you luck, first of all, with Thursday, with the national team, and just moving forward. Keep doing you, keep doing, giving it your best. And I always admire watching you and enjoy it.
I appreciate you, Ya'akov, and thanks for having me on, man. Really appreciate you. It's a great thing you're doing here.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Good luck, Dani.
See ya.